We could be live, but I'm not ready to. I gotta get
Cheers.
the caffeine going. Yeah. Well, let's give it a shot, and we'll see who's in.
We are live.
We are live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Saturday morning super start edition of Getting Back to Zero, a group focused on returning to a time when addiction hadn't stolen life, happiness, and hope from us and from our families. So this is our Saturday morning super start, and we do have a super start guest who requested, before I introduce her, she did request her own opening music. So the new show theme for in honor of Jessi. I better open the speaker. There you go. I don't even
Thank
know what
you.
that tune is, but I'll have it in my head all day. So, we are a group learning how to begin again. Thrilled that everyone is here this Saturday morning. This is our super start of the weekend, and Jessi is joining us this morning to tell her story, and we're going to just chat with her. I have not heard Jessi's story. I'm excited about it, but Jessi's one that kind of has been a rock in my recovery for probably about I don't know, Jessi. I guess I've known of you for about 9 months or so in my journey, but she always has really inspirational words, and actually joined her in some other meetings as well. So I'm so thrilled you joined us this morning. You got your pugs, your huskies, your support group with you, and with it being a pug, I'm sure that um, you'll have 7 pounds of hair on that sweatshirt before the meeting is over. As much as they eject hair, I have no idea how those dogs are not bald. Um, yeah, exactly. My brother-in-law's got two pugs, and I leave there weighing 3 pounds more when I go in to visit just because of the hair I pick up. So how you doing?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for letting me volunteer myself to do this. You
Cut the
tricked me.
crap. Yeah, I
You
cornered you,
tricked
begged,
me.
pleaded, threw cash, whatever.
I looked at my phone and I said, "That's Jeff. Do I want to answer?" All right. Hi, Jeff. What's up? Do you know
That's what my
anybody that
wife
would want
says.
to? Do you know anybody that would want to share tomorrow? And I'm like, oh God, he's asking me. He's asking me. I'm like, well, I guess I can. And then I find out, well, I wasn't really meaning you. So you
And
all are,
I normally that's the ploy, the trick you use, but I swear to God, I was not calling you because I was saying, "Who do you know?" Because I had a last minute cancellation. So normally, yes, I do that trick all the time, but this one was from the heart, pure.
well, thank you. And I'm a sucker. I fell for it. And I'm here.
Where are you?
So
Where I don't
thank
even know where are you calling from?
Virginia,
Okay.
but not for long. You need to stop. Mommy's talking. Virginia. And then I will live in Las Vegas in about a month and a half.
Well,
Be back out there
Ketsia is going to be out in Vegas in a
next
week.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting hitched. So that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So
Getting rehitched.
yeah, rehitched. There you go. I wasn't going to say that, but that so hey, so tell us your story. I mean, I want to kind of just chat about things, but what's your
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
ends
Yeah.
you up on a Saturday morning show about sobriety?
Well, I I'm Jessi. Turns out I'm an alcoholic and I'm not for everyone. I let's see. I'll just start from the beginning. I grew up in a very small town in Wisconsin. I don't have the tale of having a rough home or a rough upbringing. I grew up with very loving parents that did the best they could. Um, I don't know if you know much about Wisconsin and the lifestyle there, but it is all about drinking Wisconsinably. And
I like that. Hadn't heard that term before.
oh, there's T-shirts made of it now. Drinking Wisconsin Ablaze. So, yeah, it is. I don't know if the laws have changed, but even while I was growing up, people could still, as long as you were with your parents, it didn't matter what age you were, you could still drink in the bars as long as you were with mom and dad. Um, my parents drank, and it was just the norm. You know, my dad is a dairy farmer, and so when he would come home from milking at night, he and my mom would have a cocktail. Sometime by the time I got to a good enough age, I thought it would be cool if I could make them for them. And so it just was the norm. I am from a family line of, on one side of the family, it is heavily struck with alcoholism. In fact, I thought I would mention this because I think that this is an important thing to bring up. Because I've heard you say in meetings too that we come, you know, into these rooms all for different reasons. And, you know, not everybody gets a DUI, but I myself have had two of them. The first one being when I was 20, and then the other, I was 34.
How long have you been sober right now? What's
2 years.
2 years, okay.
February 15th of 2019.
Okay.
So but back to family, I've lost two. This is all on one side. I've lost two driving while intoxicated. 3 family members have been incarcerated because of their actions while what happened driving while drunk. And because of these instances, 4 people have lost their lives because of this. Not in my family, but they've killed 4 people. I also have another cousin who suffered from an alcohol-induced stroke. So when we say sometimes, like, you would think they would learn a lesson from the family's actions, it is not the truth. In fact, it was an easy way for me to judge at that time, where I was like, oh, wow, they just, these people, they really got it bad. They got to get their shit together. And so, anyhow, I'm going through school, and I decided in high school that I wanted to be a hairstylist. I was all signed up to go to hair school in Green Bay. And my Spanish teacher said, Jessi, I think that I flew the other day and I could picture you being a flight attendant. I think you should look into that. And so I immediately looked into it. And next thing you know, I'm 19 years old and I'm moving to the big city of Chicago to be a flight attendant. And that was really amazing. I can't describe enough about what that life was like for me, especially coming from such a small town. There was no diversity in my town at all. And so to move to Chicago was so eye-opening. And I would bid my trips based on, or ask the crew schedulers to put me in places where I could drink because I was 19. So I did a lot of trips overseas. One thing that has a lot to do with some of my my life trauma is that I was in as a flight attendant in New York on September 11th, and I was stuck there for that whole week. This happened 9/11 was on a Tuesday. I arrived there Monday night, and I woke up to my dad saying, oh my God, I'm so damn glad to hear your voice. Where are you? Are you okay? Because the week prior to that, I was laying over in downtown Manhattan. And so he just assumed that that's where I was, and he was trying to get a hold of me, and no connection was coming through. And I didn't realize until then, like when I got home, because we were there for a whole week, I didn't realize until I got home that where I was. And all of those planes that day that were taken down were all going to LA. They were on a 757, and that was me as well. I was on a 757, and we were going from New York to LA. So it was really scary. And I think now about my nieces and nephews, and that's a lot to take in at 19. So then the following, all of my 20s, I just drank normal, as normal as a normal 20-year-old could do. And I then got into the restaurant business part-time. I was doing just cocktail serving at a sports bar.
Still flying though?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They worked around my schedule. And so the White Sox won the World Series. And that whole series, I made a ton of money. And I was 22, and I'm like, you know what? I am too young to be this out of shape. So I got a gym membership and a trainer. And so they said that when I start working out, they're like, you know what? You've got a natural body for the figure world. Maybe you should do figure competitions. And I was just like, okay. So that's where really a lot of my addiction behaviors really shined through. I was taking some, I loved a good energy pill with some ephedra, hydroxycut with ephedra. Kidding me. I gave the best customer service ever on the airplanes. And so then we
I was hit by that cart that you were pushing at 90 miles an hour down the thing into the knee while I was sleeping several times, so I know that feeling well.
You were the asshole with your leg in the aisle.
Yeah,
that's what you were.
That was me.
Yeah, but I did. I was conscientious of people's legs. So anyway, what all happened? The reason I'm bringing this up is this is when I really started my loser boyfriendhood. In the gyms, I managed to find guys that could not, that didn't work. They didn't get jobs, but they would be at the gym. And, I really managed to get with some real losers and airheads in my 20s. And, where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is the fact that I really just let people walk all over me. And coming up in the, farmland of Wisconsin, there's not too much backbone to build. It's a real humble background. My parents never fought. I've never heard them in an argument, and I didn't know how to defend myself. So, my major drinking started later on, but it got heavier when I got full on into the restaurant business. When I was about 26, I was full time in the restaurant biz, and my airline went under. They closed their doors, and I was around extremely wealthy people that happened to love me and would invite me to do great things with them, go hang out on their yachts, go to their parties. I've drank the finest of wines. I made an ass of myself at, times, but still, it's nothing that I would like sit and think about to this day. But my real stuff started when I was in my 30s. I was a caregiver to an aunt of mine who had ALS. And I don't know if you know much about that, but it is a very brutal thing to.
Yeah, I lost a good friend of mine to ALS, and unbelievable.
Yeah. So my world was rocked. And I had my I had my very unstable relationship in Chicago, and I would commute from Chicago to Columbus, Ohio, where my aunt was. But I stayed mostly with my aunt during the week, and then on the weekends, just to get away from ALS, I would go back to Chicago. And when I lost her, it literally was like a rug being ripped from right underneath me. Everything that was considered normal in my life was done. And I moved in with a great friend of mine, and we were in the restaurant biz. And I mean, I was chugging smokes and chugging wine and going to work and sleeping and repeat. That was my life. I met the first guy that treated me like a gentleman, who we really had nothing in common, but he ended up moving me to Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas is where it's really just available at all times. And with all respect to people in Las Vegas, it's kind of the place that I found people in the restaurant business are from all over the world, and they're the ones that are, they're the ones that had something happen that they're running away from, and they go to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And then we all get there and we're mingling together and we're trying to function in like a dysfunctional world. So
yeah, the stoplights have nothing but green lights on them. I mean, it's anytime, anywhere, anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah. Yeah.
There's almost Vegas to me is there's no normalcy of the day. It's just this level. There's no build up to the level. There's no wind down. It's just nonstop at that level.
Well, because in a lot of cases too, people work overnight there, and they finish work at 5 a.m. So their night out starts at 5,
mm-hmm.
and so they'll drink throughout the day. And I just kind of made it work where I just drank whenever it fit. And so I was, it's funny because I didn't realize it then, but I was really, really, really lost. I never got the time to sit and grieve my my aunt. And I also didn't mention that her death was the end of of losing 6 family members in a year. it was like me and the funeral homes were a revolving door. And I reached a point that I couldn't fathom anything anymore. I couldn't feel anything. And one day I looked at this boyfriend of mine that I moved out there with, and I'm like, hold on a second, we are not for each other. And so, long story after, I'm now on my own. I have her. At the time, I had another older pug named Wu Tang. This is Winnie. And I was, after work, I went out drinking, and I didn't even have that much to drink, really, just a margarita and a shot. And I was driving through a hotel parking lot, and I remember feeling my head go back. And when I pulled my head back up, I was crashing through a valet gate. And I was like, oh, did anybody see? And I park, and all of a sudden I see all these people in valet coats, like, coming up to me. And they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And in the police report, it says that I just said, I was just looking for a parking spot. And so I got arrested. And Las Vegas, CCDC is the name of the jail there. It's not really a great place. And I cried my entire time I was there. I get in there, and the cop tells me or the corrections officer tells me, go sit down right there. I go to sit. There's a line of prostitutes that are sitting that were just arrested too. And they're like, no, don't sit. And I sit down.
Uh-oh.
And I realize I am sitting in a puddle of somebody else's piss. And
welcome to reality.
Yeah. And I go to get up, and the corrections officer is like, sit back down. And they're lethal. And so I cried the whole time. I was thinking of a relative of mine that was literally incarcerated. And I'm thinking, you're following in these footsteps. What in the hell are you doing? And, I felt like such a loser, the bottom of the barrel. I also was blacked out. I had no idea that I was blacked out, but the prostitutes, I wish I knew them by their name. They called me Blondie. I said, Blondie, you got to stop crying. You're going to be just fine. We're the ones that have it bad. We're going to be stuck here for a long time. You'll be out of here in 12 hours. And they said that I went off on this cop. They had a ton of respect for me because this cop was in my face, and I went off on him, and I don't even remember doing this. And that is not in my nature at all. And
see, Jessi, as sweet as you come across, I could see that being no second peanuts for you. No, no, you don't get to have the rest of the can. You only get the cup with the ice, and I'm putting in extra ice, so you only get a little bit of the Diet Coke, but no peanuts or one or the other. No extra pretzels.
Yeah.
That's how rough I see you getting. So that cracks me up.
Yeah. Yep. So then I'm in jail, and I'm like, I am never drinking again. I'm never drinking again. I'm never drinking again. Well, that lasted 9 days. And back off to the races we go. But now we're drunk driving without a license. So I know we're running low on time, so I'm just going to fast forward to I now meet the man that I'm with now. And we meet online, and I go to, when it's time for me to go to his house, he's like, why don't you bring your dogs? And I could remember, like, I would have so many pep talks with myself saying, you need to make this work. This is a good one. This is a good guy. He's got his shit together. We can't mess up. So I would really, really be careful, and I would be on my P's and Q's. I remember pulling up to his house, and I remember saying, oh my gosh, this guy really has his shit together. And I turned around and I looked at my dogs and I said, we can't mess this up. And I pointed at Woo and I said, no pissing on his furniture. And then I pointed at Winnie and I'm like, just be good. And so we get to, we're dating. Things are going pretty smooth. I've hidden my alcoholism pretty good. Until...
But you're still drinking at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was hiding it really well. And until about a year in. And he's very cutthroat. You know, as just picture a sports person. I'm painting the picture for you. He's very all or nothing. He's like, I don't know why you're doing this. You got to get your shit together. And he's not for everyone. And he would talk to me sometimes like I was on in a locker room giving a pep talk. Like, you're throwing your life away. You're drinking during the day. What are you doing? Get your shit together. And, you know, he would threaten to leave me. And so I would pull it together for just enough. And I wasn't trying to screw him over by any, I literally had every intention of making this work for myself, for me to get a grip on alcohol. I spent so much time planning out how I was going to do everything. We end up moving out here to Virginia. So now we're in Virginia, and I worked at a steakhouse. And I was so bored out here. I hated it. This was not for me. And I drank through my whole shift all the time. It's safe to say I drank probably 2 bottles of wine per shift, and then I would drive home. And I would hide the smell of my alcohol by, I would pick up Doritos and eat Doritos on my way home, or a Whopper, something that just stinks so that he doesn't even want to kiss me. And then go up. We'd sleep separately because I sleep with all the dogs in my bed.
Whole nother topic, but we'll...
Yeah. And so he, it was also a way for me to hide a lot of things that would happen. And I'd even have a box of wine hidden in my nightstand in one of the, like, just insanity. And there were many, many times that he threatened to kick me out. And I knew, like, we just were not close at all at this point. To say he hated me was pretty accurate. I would peg him as verbally, I'd be like, he's verbally abusive. Well, it's because he'd say I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
You know, what an abusive asshole.
Yeah. Oh, that's, leave that guy yeah.
And so, to cut to the chase, my last point, my last night of drinking, it was Valentine's Day. If you know anything about the service industry, you know that Valentine's Day is brutal. We were so understaffed. I hated everyone and everything. I'm very good at at bartending. I'm very good at hospitality, and I'm confident in saying that. I can run a bar and everybody has a great time. And I drank my face off. I said I was done with that place. I was flipping off the camera throughout the night because I didn't care if they saw me drinking. I ended it with, there was a guy, come to find out, is a drug dealer. And he and his wife were there, and I was doing shots with them, shots of Jameson. Like, I just, that's normal. And I remember seeing my boyfriend coming through the door, and I just looked, and he was like, "Get the F in the car right now."
So they had called him?
No, he just knew. He knew because
Okay.
I wasn't responding that I was drinking. And right when he got there, I passed out behind the bar. So now I wake up and I'm in my clothes that I worked in. And I'm just like, oh shit, this is really, really bad. And I would go back to sleep, and I make this part of my story because it is definitely a part of my now story. One of my relatives that I lost throughout all of this time was an aunt of mine. And I'm a big believer that when you lose people and you dream of them, that it's them coming to say hello to you. And I dreamt that my aunt was sitting on the foot of my bed, and she said, "Jess, you're done. You're done drinking. You've got to stop this, and everything is going to be okay, but you're done." And I woke up again, and I look outside just to make sure I didn't drive my car home. All I remembered was seeing Dave walk into the room or into the bar. And he woke up and he said, "You're out. I need you to move out. And you also need rehab." He said, "There's something seriously, seriously wrong with you." Now, he doesn't have addiction, so he doesn't get it. He doesn't get what, so this is the way he would talk. And I immediately said, "I'm going to the room." Like, I was like, I gotta find an AA meeting. I actually had the app on my phone because I would lie to him and say that I'm gonna go to a meeting before all of this.
Yep.
So I had the app. I didn't go to a meeting that day. Somehow I did not lose my job. I apologized and so then I went to my first AA meeting on a Monday. I woke up on a Friday. This one's happened. And that is when everything changed. I was so anti-AA. I assumed the many times I tried by myself to stop, I would get as far as 100 days on my own. But I realized I needed community and I needed structure. And the people in those rooms, it didn't matter that I had pushed everyone in my life away from me, and I really didn't have anybody at the time that I could call as a close friend and say, "Here's what I did. Please help me with this." Instead, I was forced to sit with myself and sit in my shit. And then I go to this room of people where I think that I've got the worst story that they've ever heard, And there was a man there who was, 40 years sober. And he looked at me and he goes, "Sweetie, it's going to be okay. And I promise you that the best life that that is possible is available to you right now. And you just got to welcome it." He said, "I know I just look like an old man sitting here in a chair, but he's like, I used to piss myself." I go, "Me too." and And then he said, I was kicked out of the volunteer out of the, or no, he said I was a fireman and I was kicked um out of
The volunteer,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, and I was a volunteer fireman and I was kicked out. He's like, that's how bad I was. And so these people just gave me so much love, and working the steps and living the steps is where it all really makes sense. And now I've got relationships and friendships. I have them back. Some of my friends that were my biggest drinking buddies and best of friends are now sober, and now we're doing this sober life together, and it's really remarkable.
You know, God, so many things that you've been saying, but with the stories of this, because I think people watching you, and I'm so thrilled you're here, because I hope people are looking at you, and when you hear this, what I see is hope, because people, oh, she's, a pretty gal, she's got it going for her, and then you hear the stuff that you did or went through, and you don't believe that anyone that can go through that kind of stuff like I'm going through myself can have a happy ending. And that's what I why it's so important in these things for people to share and tell their story. And we do get, why do you talk about the negatives in the past? Because people that, like me, I thought I was completely alone, that I was beyond hope, and people in recovery obviously didn't have it like I did. They drank a little too much. I was a mess. But to see someone and hear that, wait a minute, you were even remotely as bad as me, and now that gives me hope that I can get to have the same look that you have on your face, that smile, that look of life is good right now. I hear in these rooms a term, I want what she has, or I want what he has, and that's exactly what I hope this, you're what I hope people, and that's why it's so important to share, because there are people that are going to see you, Jessi, or see us, and say, you know what, I want what that person has. And that's why we have to share that and give them, in these rooms, we get the hope that, wow, someone was actually as low as I am and they can bounce back like that. That's fantastic, because I didn't see that as an option for me before a year and a half ago. There was no way I was ever going to be content, happy, and excited about life again. Those days were over. I had burned so many bridges. So that's an inspiration. The couple things that from your story, the environmental molding. Environmental molding to me is, you were in an area where surrounded by I don't know what the world of being a flight attendant is, but city to city, bar to bar, young people with money. That was, you were whether you chose to or you just ended up in that environment, you were molded by standards of that world, and your expectations and your wants were molded because of the environment you were in, and those are tough, because you hear the term, if you're gonna get sober, you might have to find new people, places, and things. And Vegas is, I don't know if there's a better one-word answer to finding a need. Do you have a bad people, places, and things? Vegas answers all of that to me.
I do want to help break the stigma of Vegas, though, because believe it or not, the time that I spent there as a sober person, I did make a lot of connections out there. And it actually is a very good place to live as a sober person as well, because in a big area where there's a lot of problems, there's also going to be a lot of recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And there are fabulous meetings out there. There's hiking. There's so many serene things to do out there. Yoga studios, all of the woo-woo stuff. It's all out there. And I'm really looking forward to getting back and reconnecting with my community that I have out there. The other thing, what else did you? And also, when I was a flight attendant, it was funny because I realized when I was thinking about my story, I never kept alcohol in the house. I never. It was only like on my trips that I would drink, and also
was that that would have been for me a self-justification that, oh, I only drink when I'm out at parties or whatever. I don't even have booze at the house. One
right.
more reason why I don't have a problem.
Yeah. Well, when I was in the heat of my alcoholism, like when we still lived in Vegas and I was with Dave, I honestly thought it would be a good idea for me to get back into the airlines because there's a lot of rules about drinking. Like you have to stop at a certain point before your next show time, and all of these random breathalyzers. I literally thought that would be an accountability thing for me. I mean, the insanity that comes with the alcoholic mind is so dangerous. It's really such a sad place to live, really.
My biggest customer is that way. I could get drug tested or breathalyzer at any time, and I was thrilled that was, maybe that'll keep me accountable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also wanted to, since you were saying that about people seeing this and seeing me as a beacon of hope, which I still think is like kind of comical because, I had a bankruptcy. I had my DUIs. I had all sorts of shit. When it really made sense to me that I was doing the right thing, a cousin of mine asked me to help at a family wedding to bring her kids, to drive her kids from a family wedding back to the hotel. And I was just like, oh my God, that's something I've never been asked before. And it was a huge wake-up call of how like unaccountable I was. Nobody could ask anything of me. There was a man that at one point I still have love for him to this day, but he was a best friend of mine and he passed away. It will be 2 years on May 5th. And I was 6 months sober, and his mom couldn't find anyone to officiate his funeral. And just like I volunteered myself for you, I volunteered myself to officiate his funeral. And I've really impressed myself on what I'm capable of, and being able to step up in the places that I never would have thought before, and to have conversations with people, to have boundaries. I have boundaries now, and that's one of my key things. I've got my morning routine. I've got I never realized how much I crave consistency, and the man that I once called a verbally abusive man is very loving and is very proud of me.
That's
and
because he's finally with the gal that he knew you could be, or
right.
you should be, or you were, inside.
Mhm.
But that's, that's the other thing. When I look at someone like you, or a guy that, is looking good, uh, it can be unattainable. It can be intimidating of just going, oh well, look at them. Sure, they've got it all together. There's no way I could ever get that, be that way, because me, I'm a friggin' whatever I am. So it's important to hear the lows, because when I first came into the first AA room, I always joke, but it's not a joke. It's true. I thought I was in the wrong place. I thought, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the room of drunks that
Yeah.
look like me. This must be a, motivational speaker meeting or something. I don't know. It's like, I'm sorry, I was looking for the different room for the where the drunks are. And when I saw them, it's like, well, that obviously this isn't going to work, because I could never look like them. That's not. I'll never be there. So
Mhm.
hearing the stories of where you came from is critical. The other thing that I wanted you to touch on, you mentioned, and I don't know if it was the passing of an aunt or someone you said, but it sounded like, and I just made a note of dealing with or closing out something, like, that maybe you drank past it. If we don't give ourselves the chance to feel it, process it, embrace it, accept it, put it out on the table, we can't fix it, or put it, or at least put it away behind us. I
Mhm.
I drank it. I never processed it. I dulled it. I buried it, but it was still there. So, and I can't even remember if I could read my handwriting. I know what I was putting down, but you had said something about, and it just triggered for me, of the not processing things. If we can't
Yep.
close them, or file them properly, if I just shove them in a drawer with a bunch of other memories and hope they don't
Mhm.
get fixed that way. So I don't know, if are you doing anything different that way, or did you do that incorrectly?
Oh yeah, as you were saying it, I picture it like taking all these problems and filling them in a closet, and then you're trying to get the
Mm-hmm.
closet door shut, and then all of a sudden it just burst. And that's how I was with all of my hardships that I faced um, while I was drinking. But now I have such a extreme spiritual connection that um, I loss is horrible and it's hard, but there is a way that I also appreciate it as a beautiful thing now, because I don't know if you've ever seen anybody um, up, past, but it can be a beautiful thing. And I also believe that I carry these people still with me. And there's meditations that I do to still ask for their comfort, because I think that their souls are still, or their spirits are still here. And I find a lot of peace in that. My friend that I was talking about, that I officiated his funeral, um, visits me a lot in my dreams. And a fun story was the night before my first anniversary of sobriety, I dreamt that I saw his ashes, and um, or no, I saw this dirt pile, and all of a sudden I see where his ashes are, and there was a really sparkly ash, and I held on to it, and I just said, I was like, I know that's you, I know that's you, and I like held it close, I kissed it, and I know this sounds all woo woo, but then I woke up and I was really happy about this, and I go to my meeting to get my chip, and this man that I've never seen before, this scraggly looking biker dude, comes in, and I actually thought he'd be picking up a white chip, which for those of you that aren't in the AA world, that's the chip of surrender, and to give your
usually a 1 day. It's also called the 1 hour or the 24-hour or the 1 day chip.
Right. Well, I go get my 1 year chip and I do my little talk, and then they said any other birthdays, and it was his 36th. And I'm like, wow. And so at the end, he reaches into his little leather vest that he had, and he goes, I have something I want to give you. And he gives me this white crystal. And it just reminded me of the dream that I had the night before. And it's a reminder to me that we're always, we're all connected, and that we're all,
see, that what you just said, it sums up my goals and what I'm trying to do, because when I go to a meeting, whether it's this meeting or an AA meeting or TLC, which so many of us belong to, or any of them, whatever I'm doing, I have to, the listening, what I'm taking in, absorbing, reading, hearing, are my tools. The magic is what you just said of, I doubt you remember exactly the lessons or what you heard that meeting, but I guarantee you'll never forget some guy handing you a little white crystal. And that is what that sharing, that community, and that's where we turn the words that we read. I've got, I'm an AA, or I've got my big book right here. A lot of great words, but those mean nothing unless where they get applied is when I virtually hand someone else that white crystal. And that's by just talking to someone, by looking at it, by listening to them, by just like what you're doing is you just, and people worry that they have to, I'm not ready to share. I'm not ready. I don't know what to say. By smiling and just listening, you're giving people hope. And you don't have to be a scholar at this, by just, but that's where that bonding, if I can take away I feel alone, if I can take away I'm alone in this from someone, then they got a great shot, and I have a great shot at still being sober tomorrow and being happy tomorrow, even more importantly.
It's also, if you think about it, I don't want to use a harsh word like selfish, but I feel the most success in a program comes from opening yourself and opening your mind, not being so closed off. I think of how many people lose out on opportunities because they insist on doing it themselves, and they insist on not seeing that others are like them. I have a lot of other times now where I see people that I would generally have an issue with, that would irritate me. And then all of a sudden I stop and think about it, and the reason I'm irritated is because I see my old self in them, and I want better for them. And so to just have to try to just live with a kind heart, and as you said, smile, listen, be there, be present.
That's a great point, because things that I see people, I get upset that they're not doing this or they're saying this, and really the truth is it's only because I'm seeing myself at a point when I said the same thing, and I want to smack them and say, no, and I'm actually wanting to smack myself of, and say, you're missing the whole point. It's but no one wants to come on to and any kind of forum and tell them, and I sat in someone's piss. That's not there. Hey, look at me. That's what I want you to remember, that I'm known as the person that sat in someone else's urine in a jail cell. But you know what? That you knock down the barrier, or you chipped away at this speed bump that's holding someone back because, oh my God, I'm not alone. Maybe I can, and giving them the hope to try. So, anyways.
Do you think, you know, it's not fun to say? It's not, exciting to be like, oh yeah, I had a corrections officer in Las Vegas saying you go and sit in some other person's piss and you stay there,
Mm-hmm.
But when you see me from now on, and I don't care if you do think of myself having soaked pants, but it's not the end all. It's not. So I can tell there's a lot of chatter going on.
Mostly people saying my favorite part of the show is when you talk all the time, Jeff. So that's the common thread.
Yeah.
Did I tell you my wife doesn't like to watch these shows? And I said, why you don't like? And she says, no, because I just want to come down, kick the door open in your little room, and tell you shut the hell up and let her talk. No one wants to hear you. We want to hear her. So I'm really that's why I have post-its all over on my thing that say things like shut up. So as
Yeah.
reminders. So I'm trying. Well, Jessi, if you can stick around, because I'm just gonna we go off the Facebook stream here in a minute. But if you won't stick around, because we kind of just open up anyone that's on the Zoom. We do have the private group. I think the group page is just back to zero. BAC2, the number 2, and then spell out the word zero. Love to have you join us because that's a great place to share and talk about stuff. But stick around, and also that has Zoom links if you ever want to get do this via Zoom. So, but Jessi, you are inspiration and hope. Bearing your soul is fantastic. I just can't thank you enough for doing that.
Thank you.
So,
I will have to go around 10:30 just
oh no,
because I have to get ready for my other
yeah,
thing
you're doing a
and feed the
repeat
dog.
performance this morning.
Yeah, I won't have a voice left. I'll
Well,
sound
this
like
was
a
the
trucker.
important one. This was the important one.
Well,
So,
it is. Yeah.
all
And
right. Well,
then you can delete this off of your page after because you didn't want me to be a speaker initially. So I
see,
appreciate you.
I
appreciate
lose.
you amusing me.
I lose. However, I try not to pressure you. I try to just say, "Do you know of anyone?" And then I was wrong for that, and now I. Anyways, well, look, we're gonna sign off. I'll be back. Kathy will be on tomorrow night at 8 Eastern time, and she's got a great one lined up, which will be a lot of fun. And everyone have a great Saturday or weekend. Be safe and talk to each other. So, but we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everyone. Thanks.